The Man Who Promised the Sky. When Noah was a child, he used to lie on the roof of his small house every night and stare at the sky. The stars felt close to him, like they were listening. He would whisper, "Someday I'll touch the sky." But life didn't care about his dreams. His father was a fisherman who barely earned enough to feed the family. His mother worked in a sewing shop from sunrise to midnight. Noah grew up watching hard work, but also watching dreams die quietly. By the time he turned 17, Noah had already become known in his neighborhood as the boy with impossible dreams. Everyone said the same thing. "Sky, you? Stop dreaming and find a real job." He tried. He worked at a mechanic shop, carried heavy sacks at the market, served tea at a small stall, but none of these felt like his purpose. Every night he still climbed to the roof and whispered, "Someday I'll touch the sky." One day, a science exhibition was announced in the city. Winners would get a scholarship to study engineering abroad. For Noah, this was the closest path to his dream of building machines that could touch the sky. But he had a problem. He had no money, no tools, no mentor, and only 2 weeks to prepare. His friends laughed. "You can't even afford bus rent. Engineering abroad? Dream on." Even his father said, "Noah, life is not a movie. Let go of this sky nonsense." But no, it didn't. He collected thrown-away machine parts from garages, broken electronics from trash bins, old copper wires from junk shops, and built a small workshop on the roof at night when everyone slept. The neighbors thought he was crazy. Hammer sounds echoed at midnight. Sparks flew. Metal clanged. Noah worked until his fingers bled. He had an idea. A mini atmospheric drone that could fly higher than normal small devices. Something simple but symbolic. Something that showed he had the potential to touch the sky. Day after day he worked, silently, stubbornly, obsessively. But 3 days before the exhibition, a massive storm hit the town. Everything on the rooftop was destroyed. The drone was smashed, tools scattered, wires gone, batteries soaked. Noah didn't leave the roof. He sat in the rain holding the broken pieces like a child holding a dying dream. For the first time in years, he whispered, "Maybe they were right. Maybe the sky is not for people like me." His mother came to the roof quietly, soaked in the rain. She put her hand on his shoulder and said, "Son, the sky is not touched in one day. But those who climb every time they fall, they get closer than the rest of the world ever will." Her words lit something inside him again, something fierce, something unbreakable. He stood up, wiped his face, and said, "I will build it again." And he did. With no tools, no resources, only determination. He stayed awake for 40 hours straight, rebuilding the drone from trash and broken parts. He didn't sleep. He didn't stop. He didn't breathe until the final screw was tightened. The exhibition day arrived. Noah walked into the giant hall with a small cardboard box. His clothes were old, shoes worn out, hands covered in scratches. People looked at him like he didn't belong there. Other students had expensive projects, clean models, polished presentations. Noah had a drone built from garbage. When it was his turn, the judges looked unimpressed. Some whispered, "This won't even take off." Noah didn't argue. He simply said,
Let the sky decide. He placed the drone on the ground and pressed the switch. Nothing happened. People waited. Some laughed. A few rolled their eyes. Then, a spark, a hum, a sudden burst of power. The drone lifted off the ground, slowly, steadily, higher, higher, until it reached the ceiling of the hall, touching the highest point a small drone had ever reached in that exhibition's history. The hall fell silent. The judges stood up. One of them said, "How did you build this?" Noah replied, "I didn't build a machine. I built my dream with everything life threw away." The judges didn't even debate. They announced him the winner immediately. Noah received the scholarship, and years later, he became an aerospace engineer. The same people who once told him to stop dreaming watched him send a research drone into the upper atmosphere. On launch day, he stood in front of the machine, looked at the sky, and whispered the same words he'd whispered as a child. "Someday, I'll touch the sky." And that day, he finally did.